Hello and welcome. My name is Derek McGinley and I am pursuing a bachelor's degree in the Recording Arts program and plan to work in audio post. I am going to be presenting an interview that was conducted with Jeff King by email. Jeff is also attending Full Sail University, majoring in the Recording Arts program and is pursuing a career in the audio post field as well. What do you see as the role of the visual arts in our mass-mediated world and particularly in your profession? With hopes to work in television and film within the sound department, visual arts are imperative to my way of life, in particular to my career. I believe the role of visual arts has changed from what it once was in many aspects. I believe what we consider art today was merely just the way of life depending on the time period it comes from. A lot of times, art had a symbolic and important meaning or even reference to a religion or whatever faith that particular culture believed in, such as the Egyptians. The pyramids, which were an enormous structural undertaking that included a lot of artistic work and sculptures, was the Egyptian way of delivering their rulers to the afterlife. Whether it was related to religion or beliefs, or even some abstract reason, usually it had a long-term significance or was based upon a story passed down through generations. Modern art has its place amongst historical works, but in many cases serves a different purpose. When I think of visual art today, I think of film and television shows and especially the extent of advertising. Everywhere you go and every direction you look, you see advertisements trying to sell you some product or service, and they work. Because our society is forever changing and constantly moving faster and faster. The attention span and interest of the common man or consumer is diminishing more and more. This leads to more types of visual arts and ways for businesses to reach us, the consumer. With new communications and media technologies, imagery is almost instantly available. Do you believe that this is having a positive or negative influence on the industry? These new communication and media technologies introduce a few perspectives, both positive and negative. The speed at which the world is changing and evolving socially, culturally, and artistically is resulting in instant availability of anyone's thoughts, ideas, and in particular art. Because these emerging technologies allow everyone to easily share their work and ideas, originality is something that is sometimes scarce. Because of this explosion of technology and access, creativity and sharing of knowledge through the internet has introduced a lot of copyright issues and ownership of content. This would certainly be deemed negative. What I do find positive about this is that it is forcing people to be more creative and find new ways of doing creative things, like visual arts, which sometimes invent new genres of media or culture, which lead to another trend or fad, good or bad. The negative and inherent side of this is the quality of the work that surfaces in both physical mediums and on the web. Because everyone is a photographer or producer and alleged artist, there is no real filter of what is good or bad. For example, anyone with a little bit of money on any computer platform can easily get a free digital audio workstation and throw together a beat, or, in relation to visual media, anyone with Photoshop can start putting together visual content that is usually compiled of work that doesn't belong to them. I guess it is in the eye of the beholder as to what is considered good or bad, which I think society will naturally determine whether an artist sinks or swims. What popular images do you see that are frequently rechanneled throughout the entertainment industry? I think more than anything, styles are rechanneled through the entertainment industry over and over. From advertising to movies to fashion design, everyone seems to recycle or knock off someone else's look or style. In movies especially, I think they set and reinforce a lot of stereotypes with the look of a big city versus a small suburban town to the look of a foreign country in the way they act, walk, and wear their clothes. I think iconic figures from previous cultures like Marilyn Monroe or James Dean are reused, as well as famous paintings like the Mona Lisa or Van Gogh's Starry Night. They seem to find their way back into current pop culture. I think the topic and depiction of war is constantly rehashed. I think because there has been so many wars in the world over so many centuries, it is a common focus or image that resurfaces often. Are there particular images that this industry has popularized and/or created? I think the entertainment industry has popularized and maybe even created the image of the ideal man and woman, as well as every version of human in good or bad light. Through movies and advertising, you and I both know what makes someone good or bad looking depending on their depiction and message. How short or tall they are, how fat or skinny they are, the color of their hair and eyes, we are basically convinced and brainwashed into wanting to be like a complete stranger or icon because of the appeal of the image presented to us. These same images also create and reinforce stereotypes. Because of the influence of entertainment, we can find ourselves sympathizing with criminals and killers in movies and television shows because we come to like their characters or image as they are portrayed visually and emotionally, for instance in the Showtime series Dexter. For better or worse, I think fashion and photography has created an image that everyone is expected or made to think they should uphold. Images and art today are much more manipulative today than they were hundreds of years ago within certain industries like entertainment. Who is a favorite visual artist and or what is your favorite style of visual art? My favorite kind of visual art is surrealism. My favorite artist is a contemporary hyperrealist and surrealist, Jeremy Geddes, who is from Australia. His paintings are incredible looking and open up a lot of interpretation, but deliver an outstanding image and setting. I can't explain a whole lot why I love his work, you just have to see it. I find his philosophy of focus and tension that he builds visually very interesting. Many artists treat the edges of canvas as invisible and try to draw the viewer's attention to the center of the painting, whereas he tries to bring the focus to the edges of his paintings. How has your knowledge of famous artworks influenced your creative process? More and more, I think famous artworks influence my creative process based on the knowledge of the man-hours and physical labor that goes into historical and modern pieces. I use them as motivation to push myself in many ways. I find it productive to sometimes convince myself that I can do more than I can usually handle in order to attempt something new and push myself into unknown territory for the sake of learning. When composing music, I sometimes visualize famous scenes of movies or paintings and make a connection to some aspect or element of that work. It helps me to then piece together my work and a mental picture or image that I can associate or reference back to after time passes by.